Good morning. It is Wednesday, April the 29th, and I'm here with Tuesday, April the 28th, bell ringer answer for you. Your bell ringer for today dealt with the projected population of the Earth reaching almost 10 billion, according to the Population Reference Bureau, and you were asked to consider some of the impacts of that population growth. You have a category for economic, one for cultural, one for political, and then demographic and environmental. So we're going to go pretty quickly through this if we can. This is just to get you to kind of get your ideas going in terms of thinking about population. So we're talking about a world population that's going to have a considerable increase according to this projection. How does that affect economic issues? Economic issues could be things like jobs. When we talk about jobs with an increasingly large number of people, one concern would be, will there be enough jobs? Will the countries with the greatest amount of growth, because remember, not all the countries in the world are going to experience the same amount of growth at the same time, will all of the countries have enough jobs? Will the least developed countries, who probably have the most population gain, will they be able to grow their economies enough to add enough jobs? Customers would also be an element of population in the economy. Will we be able to grow the economies of the world, of various countries, of various regions within the United States, fast enough to meet the needs of consumers as people want to buy more? Or on the positive side, think of all the economic growth that will be created with all those people who want to buy things, are employed, and will be able to get takeout pizza, buy themselves a new pair of blue jeans, whatever the case happens to be. You could also stretch economy into the environment. What will some of the environmental impacts be of economic actions due to increased population? All that increased production equals increased greenhouse gas emissions. All of that increased energy consumption means drilling for more oil, mining for more coal. Or another way to think about it is, what types of jobs would be necessary in a future where there's an additional 2 billion, 2.5 billion people? All right, culture. One of the things we want to remember with culture is that not everybody in the world experiences global culture in the same way. So as we get a larger number of people in the world, there'll be more consumers for things like global culture. So we may continue to see a larger spread of certain cultures. We may also see culture migrate from one place to the next as you have people who flee environmental problems, overpopulation, or one of those Ravenstein trends. People who are going to move long distances are going to choose big city destinations, and you're going to get folks who are running to those large cities with cultures that are different than ours. How does that relate to population? If you think about the demographic transition model, countries that are in stages 2 and 3 of demographic transition are the most likely to be sources for refugees or just for migrants in general. And as a result, places that are in stages 4 and 5 of demographic transition are more likely to receive migrants and thus receive new culture traits. That would be a great AP exam question to get you to understand that, yes, cities like New York, LA, London, Paris, Tokyo are going to be giving global popular culture. But they're also going to be receiving culture as a result of migration, because those are parts of the world where the populations aren't growing through natural increase, they're growing through migration. Okay. We could also talk about the arrival of specific culture traits, the languages, the religions, those kinds of things. All right, political. So certain countries are going to struggle more with overpopulation than others. China, India, even the United States will struggle with population issues, and some of their political decisions to open borders, close borders, to go after resources in the world's oceans or in some other parts of the world, all of those will matter. How do they choose to govern their growing populations? Should they be unitary systems? Should they be federal systems? How do we determine the control of the world's oceans themselves as a vast resource that would be stressed more by the ever-increasing population? All right, we dealt with demographics a little bit already. Obviously, not every part of the world will experience this rapid population growth in the same way. Some countries will move from stages 2 to 3 of demographic transition. They will have a death rate that continues to fall, a birth rate that begins to fall. There will be other countries out there, though, that experience an aging population. So countries like Japan, Liechtenstein, okay, that have disproportionately older populations, or another way to put it, a different dependency ratio. Dependency ratio is this relationship between those who produce and those who must be cared for, those who are dependents. Historically, dependency ratio tends to be a little heavier on kids as dependents because you'd have a bunch of babies and you didn't live very long. In a grain society, you have fewer children, but you have more older people who are a new form of dependence. All right, then finally we get to the environmental piece. It's always a good idea to be able to take anything we're doing in this class and try to tie it back to the environment. So what will some of the environmental impacts be of rapid urbanization, growing cities, transformation of farmland into office space, housing, retail spaces? Okay. Stress on resources. What will the impact be when we try to cut down more trees, harvest more fish, drill for more oil because of this ever-increasing population? What will the stresses be on farmland as we are stressed to over-farm land in certain parts of the world? All right, so again, this activity is mostly designed to help you just get started in thinking about all of these concepts. Friday, just as a reminder, Friday at noon, I'm going to have a Google Meet. I hope as many of you can be there as possible. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, getting ready for the AP exam coming up. And I'm going to share some information with you about what my expectations are as far as your grades, those sorts of things, just to try to make sure we answer all those questions at one time if we possibly can. So look in your emails later in the day, especially the email that's linked to Schoology, for information on how to get to that Google Meet. I'm looking forward to seeing as many of you as I possibly can there. Have a good day. Stay safe.